So we were in Boston recently for a bachelor party, and we tried something called the Boston Dip. We cannot confirm or deny if this is a real meal, but essentially you dip your burger into a pot of clam chowder. Shout out to our friend Jamie for coming up with this new age dish. Rediscovered it. Yeah.
He rediscovered it. Yeah, it was made popular by the founding fathers during or a lot of the rebels, in Boston, which was a very, that's where the Tea Party started. That's where the spark of the rebellion was. And they would have Boston dips. That was the local cuisine, allegedly. As the tales are told.
People died for this tale.
Yeah.
But
it was almost like repressed by the deep state because they didn't want this coming out.
Alex Jones was
was
behind this.
He was the one who broke the story.
Yeah. It's also a good way to annoy your friends by claiming that you're eating it.
Yep. I mean, it is on Urban Dictionary though, so
it counts, right? Anyway.
Greetings and fist bumps. This is a Raised Eyebrow podcast where we discuss the head scratching that comes with humans going full human. And we're your hosts, Kojo, Mike, and Alex. In today's episode, we ask the tough questions. Do superpowers really exist? Yep, we're all skeptical of spiderwebs shooting from our hands after a radioactive incident, right? But is there such a thing as superpowers that exist among us humans? We don't really talk about this because, gas is expensive and bills and life stuff gets in the way. So let's break it down, shall we?
Yeah, this will be a fun one, guys. So if you could have a superpower, what would it be?
Yes, I'd like to be have the power to transport.
Teleport?
Teleport.
No, teletransport. I think that should be.
That sounds fun. How do we sign up for the
I could be anywhere I want, right? You'd be able to I want to go to Venice. 2 minutes, you're there.
That's a good one.
That's a long teletransport.
I get to bypass all this crazy mess that is happening at the Pearson Airport right now.
Just nope, I'm out of here.
Yeah, skip the airport lines. Although, would you still have to go through customs if you're going through another country, though?
There's got to be a teletransport customs.
Yeah, there should be.
The Harry Potter.
Yeah. And they would search your bags and just be rude about it.
Yeah.
What did they do in Star Trek? The nerds will kill us, but when they teleported, would they just land in that device or whatever?
No, they were illegal aliens.
Right. Because space. What about you, Alex? Superpower?
So my superpower would be I would have the ability to have a mulligan. So I would just simply say mulligan, and it would just give me a do-over for whatever thing I just did. So you just have infinite do-overs.
Oh,
so you're Catholic. Maybe edit that out of the podcast. These are jokes, people. Don't cancel us.
Yeah.
Catholic. I would.
Just say Hail Mary. You'll be fine.
I would have the instant ability to find inner peace. So whatever happens, I'm just okay.
So just completely chill with stuff. That's very relevant now.
Yeah,
I'd say so.
It's a really good lesson, and apparently that's a good way to live a full life.
We're getting deep,
right? Because it's you don't let things bother you. You just accept things as is.
Yep, I would basically want to be Buddha. That's the superpower I want. Just go with it, find my peace, on to the next. Because I think it's rare that people can do that, right? So that's
it's a good
off the top of my head. I don't know. It just came out of my some corner of my brain that I don't tap into often.
It's a great way to live a life, but your comic book series would be really boring.
It's This guy's just never rattled.
It's just like like something would happen and you'd be like, okay, all right, yeah, let's
That's
move
cool.
through this. We'll overcome it.
It's like, bro, your best friend just got murdered. Don't worry. That's life. That's life. I'm at
The
peace with
stock market
this.
just collapsed.
You've lost your entire
We'll
life
get it back.
savings. That's how it goes.
Your house
Life
is on
is
fire,
suffering.
but at least we won't have to find warmth.
Insurance will cover it. We'll just always find the peaceful solution.
Yes.
Yeah. So what are there superpowers? And if there are, what are they in our world?
Yeah.
What do you guys got?
Well, I came across this article that had a list of some really cool real life superpowers.
Cool. Let's hear it.
And the first one was about this samurai. It's a Japanese. So his name is Lido Master Isao Machi.
So much.
And he holds like the multiple record by far. He's like the number one like fastest martial artist. And basically what he does is he's able to cut a tiny like it's just a little, it's like a pebble. They shoot the pebble in a gun and he's able to like cut it in half with a sword.
Whoa.
Can you imagine like how fast a bullet is moving?
That's crazy.
And he's able to slice it in half
Like in midair.
with a sword in midair.
Wow. I think I've seen videos of this guy on YouTube. And it's I remember being like, how is this a human?
Yeah, it's impossible. Like the fact that you even the time to draw your sword and slice this pebble is like insane.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And a blind man that can see.
Blind man that can see. Is this the echo?
Yeah.
Oh, this is the echolocation guy.
Yeah, he uses echo, and there's a way that he actually uses his tongue and he makes clicks.
Oh yeah.
And then he bounces the sound with his surroundings and he's able to like navigate around his.
Yeah, I've seen him like
It's pretty much like a bat.
Yeah. I've seen him like ride a bike, like on a video. Like
Whoa.
There's YouTube video of him just like riding a bicycle. He's like completely blind. He just
Is he riding fast?
yeah, like normal speed. And he's just click, 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 click with his tongue.
Holy.
And he's able to see stuff. And he would like, they set up like obstacle course. He would go around it. It's pretty
That's
cool.
crazy. So how does it work? Like he just it creates an image of his surroundings based on the echo feedback?
Yeah, so your like the ears would pick it up, and because your parent, like I think it's because like I gotta fact check myself on this. So like the retina in your eye is still kind of like it still works. It's just you can't see anything. So because he gets like this audible sound coming back, he's able to kind of like see it in his head. Basically, something like that. Yeah, I think that's how it works.
We'll get post-production Alex to jump in on this one.
Yeah, he's gonna have to explain exactly how that works. Okay, I guess that's my cue. It's post-production Alex here to explain human echolocation, which is basically the ability of humans to detect objects in their environment by creating noises, such as tapping their canes or making clicking sounds with their tongue, or lightly stomping their foot. You could also snap your fingers, pretty much do whatever you want, as long as there's the sound that travels back and forth. The person doing that is able to orient themselves and the objects around them based on how the sound waves come back to them as they kind of bounce back off the objects, and then they're able to determine the relative size of these objects and location of them, which would allow them to kind of move through the environment in a particular way, which essentially simulates the ability to see. This is very similar to how other mammals do it, most notably whales and dolphins. Okay, let's get back to the show.
It's amazing how like the body can like do those kind of things, because apparently we humans rely a lot nowadays with our eye, but the ear is one of the most high sensed, device we have.
Yeah.
Like even the fact that other animals have like longer ears that they can use to navigate, and they can rotate one ear to direct like a sound, because you can't really rely on your sight as much. So people other animals use their ear to navigate, which is amazing.
Yeah,
it's insane. I wonder if we've lost touch with our senses because of modern life, right? Like
probably.
I think so.
There's no question. Like back in the day, just something as simple as looking at the stars, like going camping, or you go out in the country or whatever, and you look up at night, and it's crazy. Like how is this a thing? But in the city, you don't see any of that, right? So there's a signal there that we're not in touch with.
Yeah, I think we're removed from a lot of nature. Like even our buildings removes us from nature.
Concrete jungle, right?
Yeah.
Concrete jungle.
I mean, now due to pandemic, a lot of people are like, bringing in plants into their homes and stuff. But
For sure. We live in Canada, so we have no choice.
Yeah.
Winters are tough.
So there's this other guy who is amazing. I watched a documentary on him. He's basically he's an architect or some artistic guy that has this capability, which is like a photographic memory. He's a little bit on the spectrum in terms of his personality, but he's been able to, like, on a very short helicopter ride around the city, he can photographically remember all these locations, come back to his studio, and paint with 100% accuracy.
Wow.
I wonder how he's
It's
able
like
to do
a
that.
human drone.
That's intense. LeBron James has that. I'll get to that later.
Oh, really?
I'll get to that later.
He does?
Can you explain?
LeBron James? So apparently he can memorize plays from years back, and he'll study the scouting reports for every player on his team and the opposite team. Like, he'll know what the guy on the bench who doesn't play, like, what his tendencies are. So if he goes to his left hand and takes the third dribble at a 45-degree angle, he'll remember that from the scouting report. But
wow.
So LeBron James is an interesting one. So to transition a little bit, for me, I was going to say that athletes at the highest level, I think, are superhuman. And it's
right.
And it's not just because of their physical prowess. They have certain IQ with regards to the sport that they play. But LeBron James actually has photographic memory. So, already he's basically like a football player playing basketball. So he's merging two sports with regards to his physical prowess. And he's already dominating, he's dominating a sport that's surrounded by other superhumans. So he's the most superhuman of the superhuman, Wow. But in a Sports Illustrated article here, just going to read a couple of blurbs from it. So LeBron James has an unusual gift. He has photographic memory. This allows him to remember the location of all 10 players on the court in each moment of a 48-minute game. So he says, I've always had it, James told Sports Illustrated. A lot of my friends when I was younger playing the game, they were like, man, how do you remember that play? It was so long ago. I never thought about it. I didn't even know what photographic memory meant when I was younger until I got older. It's something that I was born with or blessed with, I guess. And that ability has made James nearly invincible on the basketball court. He stands 6'9", 250 pounds, and he can power his way through defenses with a combination of brute force and stunning finesse. But what truly separates him is how he sees the game. This is Coach Doc Rivers from the Clippers. He says, there's a lot of people in the league with LeBron's body, but there's no one with his brain. James sees things before others. He has an encyclopedic knowledge of every player in the league and their tendencies. He knows where his teammates should be and how their defenders will likely react. So a bit of an excerpt there from that article. Yeah, it shows the greatness of LeBron James, I guess, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think in sports, like being able to like locate where your ball is at all times, it's the key.
I think so. It's like almost like physical chess. You're thinking, and that's what makes the greats great, right? They see the game, they think the game. Because there's a lot of people they can jump high, they can run fast, and they get to that level. But then what makes them elites? The 1% of the elite is that extra something, right? So based on that, you guys obviously have heard of Michael Phelps, right? World-class swimmer. Yeah. I think he's an actual freak of nature. So here are some of his freakish superpowers. So, and they did a study on this just to compare what makes him so great. So they starting with his wingspan, based on his height, he should be 196 centimeters. His wingspan should be, but his actual wingspan is 208 centimeters, which provides like perfect levers when swimming. What? This guy's like a seal. It gets better. I'm going to keep going. So he has proportionally, his hands act as paddles. He has disproportionately larger hands than his competitors. His strength. So they studied his muscles and they found that his muscles produce less than half the lactic acid of his rivals at the Olympic level. So like his muscles don't get tired. This is crazy.
You don't want this guy to slap you in the face.
No, you don't. This guy's like a boat. His torso. He has a disproportionately long torso and he has short legs, which reduce the drag and aid with his propulsion when he strokes. So, and then he has low body fat. He has just 4% body fat, and he's 6'4" and weighs 180 pounds. So that allows him to convert his effort into speed. And then here's the part that gets crazy. He has large feet, which act as paddles, but he's actually said to be double jointed. So he has size 14 feet, which according to the Detroit News, he reportedly, so he has body parts that are double jointed, and his feet in particular bend 15 degrees farther at the ankle than most other swimmers, turning his feet into virtual flippers. The flexibility also extends to his knees and elbows, possibly allowing him to get more out of each stroke. I'm going to say that it's probable, not possibly. It's likely. Yeah. See,
it looks like you're describing an alien.
Yeah, this guy's Aquaman. Like, he's a freak of nature.
Yeah, really.
Craziness.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like, yeah, I don't know what to say. Like, you can have incredible skill, but you can't compete with that kind of, physical prowess, in my opinion.
Yeah, even on an off day, he's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Last night we were watching these Senegalese wrestlers, and you could see they all have a certain look, right? And what we're talking about, we're like, how do they? Is it because of their ethnicity, or is it because of the sport they play? Do you think perhaps maybe these features are based on maybe because he's a swimmer and he's been swimming for a very long time? His body becomes that.
I think it's both. Like, I think you can adapt, running wise, that's something I referenced. So before I started jogging and running longer distances, my body was more explosive. So more bigger muscles. That's like A muscles versus A fibers versus B fibers. Once I started running, my muscles adapted towards endurance, right? But my legs didn't get longer. I didn't get taller. You know what I mean? Like, I couldn't control that aspect of it, but I could control my endurance, things like that. So like the sport of wrestling, you're going to need bigger muscles, more explosive movements. But then there's genetics as well. Like, if your parents are tall, you have a good chance of being tall. If everyone in your family for 7 generations is short, then you're probably screwed,
Right. Yeah, because, like, you look at basketball players and they all have a certain kind of physique.
Yep.
And it's like, do they pick them because of their height, or is it because the sport just, made them tall?
Yeah. I don't know. I think the height helps for sure. But I'm just thinking, I think soccer is one of the sports where being short actually helps you, right? Like Messi he's only like 5'6", and he actually didn't grow when he was a kid. Like, he was a really short kid compared to his peers. And Barcelona took a chance on him in the youth program because he had incredible skill, but they weren't sure if his height could like help him get to the highest level, right?
Right.
But he grew to like 5'6". He's a bit undersized, but it was manageable, right? His skill was just overwhelming. And he's another one of these guys that can see the game at an elite level. So it helps him overcome that. And so getting back to my thought on how being shorter helps in soccer, it's because you have a lower center of gravity and you're able to control the ball. Like, you're closer to the ball, literally. So you're able to control it and maneuver better. And if you're shorter, you're a little bit smaller, most likely. So, you're able to maneuver your body with more control. Whereas if you're lanky, it's harder to, get your arm back in place when it's on the other side of the field.
Yeah.
Just scratching your ankles.
Yeah, like you mentioned, like even Messi, like him being able to like mentally also plan the game itself. I'm thinking about, I didn't have this in my notes, but I'm thinking about like even how soldiers are being trained, where like in a way it's kind of like a superpower, because you're in an environment where there's bullets flying left and right.
Yeah.
And the really good soldiers are able to like turn off that, like, bullets flying and concentrate on what they're supposed to do. Which is like a really crazy, like amazing superpower.
Hyper focus, like Navy SEALs. I think what's his name? Jocko Willink. He talks about it. Just insane hyper focus. Yeah. And they train them for sure, like you said. But then is it like, are these soldiers gifted in that aspect of combat training? Like, can anyone learn that, or they probably have that, superhuman ability, right? You just have to coach it.
Right. Well, I mean, so perhaps maybe it's innate in everyone. You just have to bring it up. Like if you're able to get a really good coach,
for sure,
which perhaps maybe the trainers are trained in such a way to like train a group of people and bring that out from them.
Right. Interesting stuff. There's a good documentary called In Search of Greatness. Highly recommend it. This guy looks at the elite athletes of our time.
Oh yeah.
Before our time too. I don't know if you guys have heard of this one. And he basically asked the question, what makes the greatest athletes the greatest athletes? And he ends up interviewing Wayne Gretzky and Pele, and he looks at Tom Brady, all the good guys.
What about like Tim Tebow, Andrea Bargnani?
Those aren't good athletes. Well, they're good compared to me. They're good compared to us normal folks, but they're not the elite ones. So he asked, the whole film is basically a study that asked the question, what makes iconic athletes great? And you notice with Tom Brady and Wayne Gretzky, like they didn't have these crazy physiques. They were just like regular guys for the most part who trained a lot. But the conclusion of the film, and Wayne Gretzky was big on this, but all these guys, Pele, Tom Brady, Jerry Rice was there. They all say that they benefited from an unstructured environment when they were kids. And the film basically makes the case that today's obsession with youth sports, where promising athletes are in a structured pipeline from like a very young age, that might be suffocating talent. So the superpower that needs to be tapped into for these elite athletes is maximizing human creativity when it comes to physical ability and using that imagination during playtime. Because we don't play as adults, right? Everything's so serious. And when you do that to little kids, they're not playing anymore. It becomes a job to something that you had fun when you were younger. And a good example in the film is the Brazilian soccer team versus the England soccer team. The England soccer team is very structured, very pragmatic, whereas the Brazilian soccer team, they revolutionized the game because they were just playing. There's like, okay, here's the ball, do your thing. You're on the beach, go. No one knew how to handle that, right? They were just dominating because they were just being creative.
Yeah, like you look at Pele, like the way he was able to backflip and hit the ball. That's like that's karate right there.
Yeah, they named the kick after him. That's the Pele kick. This guy's got his own kick. It's part of the game. That's how creative he was. Yeah. And Pele is interviewed, and he talks about the guys that inspired him. Growing up in like Brazilian slums, and then even later guys who were part of like the first Brazilian national teams, and they were just playing, just free flow. There was strategy too, but it was more like, show us your tricks, and
Right.
England didn't know what to do with that.
Yeah.
So I found that interesting.
Yeah. It's amazing how like the things that actually make us, we actually, like for our kids, we try to like not put them in the same environment.
Yeah.
Like, like you see a rich man and then he's got Rolls Royce and everything, and you ask him and he's like, yeah, I used to walk to school, 5 miles. But then now he drives his kids to school.
Yeah, so why doesn't he teach the same thing to his kids?
Right. Like he's like, yeah, I was so poor. I was like, I don't want to be poor anymore.
Yeah.
And so now I have all that money.
He doesn't want
Then
his
you
kids.
put your kids in an environment which is like destroying them.
Yeah, he doesn't want his kids to go through that too, which is ironic, right? I think there has to be a balance, right? Like, obviously, you want to spoil your kids with I'm not saying this correctly. I don't think you want to spoil your kids, but at the same time, you want to not have them suffer. But being uncomfortable and going through challenges is what makes us who we are, right? So where's the balance, right?
I like, apparently the Rockefellers, the kids thought they were regular people.
Cool.
Growing up.
I like that.
And so by the time they grew up, they knew which the dad, I think one of the things that he learned from his parents was making notes of your income. So he would write everything down. And so he taught his kids to also do the same. So by the time they grew up, they knew how to manage what they had.
That's so important, because they don't teach like financial wellness in school, right? You just kind of figure it out one day, and some people
barely,
don't.
yeah.
I think the number one reason for divorce is like money problems. It's not like in-laws. It's a money problem.
It's not the in-laws.
You would think, right? But we just can't.
Who's gonna pay for
We can't make a spreadsheet. Like that's what it is.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because we learn
money.
how to like avoid math, right? And it's like then your whole life revolves around math.
Anyway, I forgot to mention this guy's name. The guy with the photographic memory.
Yes.
His name is Stephen Wiltshire. He's a British artist. So check him out on YouTube.
Cool, yeah. Have you ever heard of Indigo Children?
No, what's that?
No.
So it's like this like new age thing. So these are people who are in like that new age community. It was coined by, or kind of developed by a person named Nancy Ann Tapp. She wrote several books about it. It's like you would have your aura, and if your aura is like an indigo color, then you're like more in touch with things, and you can sense things and do certain things. And a lot of parents kind of dub their kids as indigo childs as like a response to like them being diagnosed with ADHD. So you have a lot of these kids who are like free spirits and like, oh no, it's an indigo child. But then like the doctor's like, no, your kid needs medicine. It's like off the wall.
Oh man.
And so some of the claimed characteristics of them is that they're very empathetic, curious, strong-willed. They're able to perceive certain things in other people. They possess a clear sense of self-definition and purpose. Like a lot of these kind of like new age things that come out, it's a lot of people are kind of exposing some people who claim to be an indigo person as like a charlatan or, fake. I don't know if there is such a thing or not. I don't even know if auras exist or not. I wonder what my aura is. Probably, I would go more with like a forest green, I would really identify as a forest green. Definitely not indigo.
I feel like aqua turquoise is more along your line.
There's this interesting Vice documentary kind of thing on YouTube. A guy, he talks about like the indigo children, and there's this one part where he gets his aura photographed, and I think it's just the photographer just kind of like adjusting like the color around the lens to kind of make it, because he's like, oh, what kind of aura do you think it is? Like, do you think you have? And he's like, I don't know, like a creamy orange. And then sure enough, he has a creamy orange aura. Who knew? And then the next person he talks to is like, oh, you have an indigo aura. Like, but I had a creamy orange aura. Like, what is this?
You have a charlatan aura.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What kind of grifter is this?
The other thing they talked about was like how these indigo children are supposed to like bring about a better world or something like that. I don't know.
They're intuitive and sensitive.
I guess so.
That's something, right?
Yeah,
That's something.
I'm skeptical. I'm skeptical of everything except aliens.
So that's real.
Yeah.
So you're taking the stance that some superpowers are just BS.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Like Spider-Man.
Yeah.
You know, he's probably a charlatan. Fake.
Batman. He's just a rich guy with tools.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, yeah, that is accurate. It's like Jeff Bezos minus the phallic-shaped rocket.
Jeff
Exactly.
Bezos is Batman. That'll be our final thoughts for today.
Well, who would be most like? Okay, who would
that
be
interesting?
of all the billionaires that we have? Who would be Tony Stark? Who would be Batman or Bruce Wayne?
Tony Stark.
Oh, Tony is already established.
Yeah, that's Elon Musk, right? Elon Musk is
Yeah.
definitely Iron Man.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's out of the way. Batman, that's a tough one. Probably Jeff Bezos, since we just mentioned it.
You think Jeff
What
Bezos
else?
would be Batman?
He's probably a bit too
well-
old to be Batman. But what other famous billionaires are there? Zuckerberg.
I mean, he has the
would
same
be-
number of like divorces as Batman. So
There you go.
he's that
Actually,
cool
yeah.
for?
It's a ladies' man, kind of, or not a ladies' man. I don't know. Don't sue us, Jeff.
I think it depends on which kind of Batman you're talking about. Like, if you're talking about like the Playboy Batman, I would say more like a Richard Branson, like 20 years ago. Richard Branson.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah, I would do that.
Who's the Ben Affleck Batman?
I don't think we have a Ben Affleck Batman in our universe.
No, I don't see it. What about the Christian Bale Batman? It's a tough one.
Yeah, maybe I don't know. Maybe Branson. I guess if you
maybe.
piss him off enough, he'll probably.
Yeah. I think Kanye West would be Hulk.
He just loses his mind. Tear shit up.
Yeah, he would because he's like has that. Yeah, I could see Kanye West as Hulk.
It's just out of control.
Yeah.
Who's Zuckerberg?
Oh, I have an answer, but
Honest.
given how we need to use his social media to promote our
right.
podcast, so
He's just him. You're already a superhero, Mark.
yeah, we love you the way you are.
Yes, never change. Just please don't ruin our role.
Yeah, please don't delete our Instagram account.
Um,
He's like listening to this. He's like, "Fuck you guys!" Deletes the account.
I don't like this show. Where were we?
There's the man who can withstand freezing temperature. I'm not sure if you guys are aware of this.
Are
guy.
you talking
Wim
about
Hof?
Wim Hof?
Yes.
Oh, we know about Wim
Yeah,
Hof.
Yes.
this is one
So
superpower I'm familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
Or
yeah. Anyway, those of you guys who don't know, he's able to like withstand like freezing crazy temperatures. Like he would sit on a mountain with nothing on and just be like, like nothing's happening.
Yep.
And anyway, so I researched some techniques that he uses. Apparently he uses this Tibetan Buddhist technique called the tumo, which literally means inner fire.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a meditation technique where the monks of Tibet will basically like they'll use a breathing style and also visualization techniques where they're able to like warm up their inner self in a way, which is like amazing. Like how can you do that? Like
So
I find Tibetan monks are like some crazy amazing superpower people
yeah.
that you could pour like gasoline on yourself, set it on fire and not twitch. Like this is like a whole new level of superpower.
Yep. They're insane. Or like stepping on hot coals or whatever they do. Or getting have you seen those
Right.
videos of those guys who get kicked in the testicles? They're just
Oh
fine.
yeah.
More kicks. I'm meditating. I don't need kids. Yeah. Monks are crazy, man. But yeah, Wim Hof. Fun fact about me, I actually took a Wim Hof seminar for a weekend a couple of years back. So you just learn the breathing technique, and then you take an ice bath, essentially, and you see the effect of the breathing technique on being in ice.
Wow.
And it worked. It was intense. So basically, I forget how the technique goes because it's been a few years, but essentially it causes your adrenaline to kick in, and it creates an immune response. So you're able to withstand cold, right? But you can go on YouTube, you can check out the breathing technique. There's a great documentary about him called, Vice did it. It's called Meet the Superhuman Wim Hof, the Iceman. So they did a study on him, and they found that he has something called, this is where his superpower comes in. He has something called brown adipose or brown fat.
What the hell is that?
So the majority of us have white fat. We're discriminating. We're discriminating against the fat here.
Whoa, white people!
But
oh no!
Are you calling me fat?
Well, if you're white.
Yeah.
Okay, so with brown fat, it's a dark colored tissue that is linked to the rapid generation of heat. And this guy, through his technique and possibly through genetics, they don't know, he developed this, and he's increased the amount of brown fat through being in the cold. And so white fat stores energy, but brown fat uses the energy. So some sciencey stuff there, but some of the records that this guy has set. So in 2000, he set a Guinness World Record for the farthest swim under ice. He swam a distance of 57 meters. Crazy. In 2007, he set a world record for the fastest half marathon, ran barefoot on ice and snow. And he set a time of 2 hours and 16 minutes. I can't even do that with shoes. He set another record for the longest time in direct full body contact with ice. And he did it 16 times. His highest one was 1 hour and 53 minutes, full body under ice. That was in 2013. He also climbed to an altitude of 7,400 meters on Mount Everest, wearing nothing but shorts and shoes, because he's insane. But he actually aborted that mission because he had a recurrent foot injury. So he still completed his challenge, but he ended up just wearing boots to help with the foot pain. And he got to a height of 6,700 meters, wearing just shorts, sandals, and boots. This man's insane. Let me just finish that thought. So,
okay,
just a quick excerpt from an article. It says the concentration and meditation technique used by this particular individual seems to evoke a controlled stress response. This response is characterized by sympathetic nervous system activation and subsequent cortisol release, which seems to trigger an innate immune response. That's Wim Hof for you. Check him out.
Yeah. Like, I find people who put their life on the line for these kind of things amazing. First of all, no one is asking you to do this.
Yeah.
Second of all, like, how do you, like, we wake up and we go to work to get paid.
That's my superpower.
Who pays you to do this kind of stuff?
Just do it every day.
Also, like, how is your lifestyle like? It's like,
well, if you look at his life stories, it's sad in many ways. So his wife, he had a bunch of kids, and his wife ended up committing suicide. And severe depression. Obviously, your wife just dies. Like, she couldn't handle whatever was going on in their life, and so he just kind of swam in the cold. He's from Netherlands, and the cold calmed him down, and he just kept doing it, and he just kind of challenged himself. Like, he relates the cold to God, like that. It just humbled him and kept him calm and at peace. And with his meditation, I guess because of the depression from losing his wife, he just pursued, that feeling of peace, and he found it through cold water and ice. It's pretty interesting. Watch the documentary.
Yeah,
I'm plugging it away.
Yes. But who pays him to do all of this kind of stuff?
I don't think anyone pays him. I think he I don't know. I guess he has sponsorships, and obviously he's got his whole like.
Yeah, he does like talks and
Yeah, like
things
TED
like
Talks.
that. Yeah.
He's been on podcasts. I'm sure he's got his ways. He's got a funnel. He's got a marketing funnel. But how did he, how did he get to this point? I think that's interesting. Like most of us work.
Yeah.
Who knows?
That's amazing. Well, I mean, in terms of like, going extreme, the man who does not stop running, do you know who I'm talking about?
No.
Forrest Gump.
Who?
Dean.
Forrest Gump.
Dean Karnazes?
Karnazes. Yeah. I know about this guy. Then he run 50 marathons in 50 days.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I have to train for one.
He's known to have
months.
Yeah, he's known for like, going 350 miles without stopping,
Jeez.
even to take a sleep.
Like a marathon is 26 miles.
Do it every day for 50 days. He did it in Greece. I think he started in Greece because obviously that's where the first marathon was ran.
Is it even good for your body?
I don't think it is. I think it's that's doing some damage at that point. So that makes us ask the question, why? Like, what's driving him to do it? If you listen to his
could be his Everest.
Maybe, yeah. I think some people just have that challenge, right? Like there's a reward that comes from overcoming it. But he talks about it in different podcasts. He says how so he was like a CEO or like an executive, like a corporate dude, and he was just again depressed, hated his life, and he just quit his job one day and started running because he liked jogging as a kid, and like he just found he had the means to do it because he had wealth from his corporate job, and jogging it is.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, I like to run with my earphones on. Right.
Same.
This guy runs without nothing.
Yep.
How does he do it?
Wow. Yeah.
I have a friend who he just finished his first marathon. He doesn't listen to music. I'm like, well, how are you doing this? Like, that's insane. And he says, I like the sound of my own existence. The sound of my own suffering.
Wow.
While running. I'm like, all right, fair enough. I need my music. I need some beats so I can move my out of shape body.
Isn't the point of surviving it like tune out your own suffering?
I guess, yeah. That's what it's all about perspective, right?
Yeah.
It's all about perspective.
Usually I'm going for a run, I take my headphones and it's like dead.
Yeah, every time, right?
Should I wait 15 minutes?
I gotta charge these immediately. Yeah, I don't know. Like, what is it about running? Like, there's a spiritual element to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's primal. For
Not
sure,
necessarily in the. Yeah, it's very primal. Like, it's just you and the sound of your footsteps, and you're just trying to get this challenge, right? You're running into the ether.
Can you imagine like the caveman running after the animal, and then his wife is like, make sure you bring home some meat. And he kept running just so he could catch and bring the meat home. So he never stopped. Probably that's the reason why we
maybe
it's a calming effect.
And that's how long distance running was invented. Some dude's wife was just too much.
There's this good book. It's called Endure by Alex Hutchinson. And he talks about, it's basically about like endurance and like how kind of endurance running has become such a prime element of who we are as a species. So like no other animal on the planet is designed to run long distances. Only really humans are. Mm-hmm. Every other animal is short distances, short bursts, just enough to get away. But humans, for some reason, have evolved to be long distance runners. Mm-hmm. And he kind of talks about it in this book, Endure. And then there's this other one called Born to Run, where he talks about the artist in this one, Christopher McDougall. He talks about this Mexican tribe. They're called the Tarahumara, and they run everywhere in the mountains, and they're like some of the best runners in the world. And they all run barefoot.
Is it the ones that they chew like the coca thingy?
Maybe, yeah. Yeah, but it's fascinating kind of like learning about how running is like just like this. It is very primal, and it's kind of a way to really kind of connect with who you are, because no other animal has an ass like ours, and that's the reason why we're able to run the way we are, because of our glutes.
Actually, yeah, there's a study on that, how running shape our butts.
Yeah.
Cool.
Now we put implants to make it bigger.
Just run.
Yeah. Then we
Just
screw it all up with plastic surgery. Yeah.
Yeah, modern stuff.
Don't worry, evolution. I'll take it from here.
Yeah. Okay. Haruki Murakami. The name. The book is called.
When I talk about running.
Yes, you've heard of it. What I talk about when I talk about running. That's a good one. So he's a writer, and he talks about how running.
Oh, the book is called When I Talk About Running.
What we talk about when we talk about running. Or sorry, what I talk about when I talk about running.
Yeah, that's a good one. I read that one a few years back.
Yeah, he's a good author too.
Yeah, good
Haruki Murakami. Yeah, very good author.
Yeah, I recommend that book. Same thing we just talked about, like the spirituality behind it, the discipline. Why do humans run? Like, why go through the suffering, the torture? It's worth it, right? Do you guys know ultra marathon runners? Sorry.
Oh, yeah. Well, for me, like with running, it's about, to answer your previous point, like for me, it's like because you like when you first start running, like 5 kilometers is like forever, and then eventually you accomplish it. And then you could do 10, then you do 15, or like 5 miles, 10 miles. And like you kind of look back and you kind of look at like, once upon a time I wasn't able to run 5 kilometers. Now I could pretty much just like run it at will. And then you kind of have like this kind of sense of self-confidence in yourself. And I think like that's really what it kind of gives you, because the only way that you are going to accomplish those 5 miles, 5 kilometers, whatever the distance is with your own 2 legs and your own determination. Right. So if you ever kind of think that like you can't overcome something yourself, it's kind of like your own little superpower, knowing that all it is just basically putting one foot in front of the other.
Yep. It's training. It's training for life, really. Like,
yep.
It's the next step. Just one step at a time. Right?
Yep.
It sounds cliche, but it's true.
It's pretty much like whatever you set your mind to, you can really do it.
And it won't happen overnight, but it shows that
right,
consistent improvement. It works.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Like in some of the points that I made in my notes, and one thing that was like a common theme is, even though these guys have those capability to do that kind of a thing, it's practice. Like they actually focus and they do much. Like they're able to like turn everything off and actually do more of that something, so then they become good at that something. There's this I don't know how to pronounce this word, but hyperthymesia, HYPERTHYMESIA, and it's the ability that allows people to remember nearly everything, every event of their life with great precision. So these guys can remember everything.
That's intense.
Like you can ask them, January 15th, 1995, what was the temperature? And they can tell you exactly what the temperature was.
That's crazy. Are these guys like on the spectrum by any chance?
I think they do have they're pretty much on the spectrum, but they're able to like turn off everything and then focus on one thing.
Wow.
And so they're able to remember stuff that you don't care about. Like you're like, what was the color of the dress of the girl who just passed by? And you don't remember, but they would remember that.
They probably just make it up and be like, red, obviously.
You can't confirm all the details.
There's no way you could prove it. That's probably all it is.
I kind of think of myself as like, I don't remember names. I remember faces. And even with the faces, there's a cap as in what I remember.
Right.
Like I can remember if someone is walking from a very far distance by noticing them from closer, So when I see them and I'm like, oh, this is how Alex walks.
Right.
And then I'm able to, oh, that's Alex coming. It's like, but it has a limit. Like I'm not like 100% accurate.
It's the reminds me of the Dunbar effect. You know what that is?
No.
Dunbar effect is like there's a certain amount of like real relationships like stable social relationships we can have. Like primates can only have something like 150-ish because we evolved in tribes, right? So, and even 150 is it's stretching it, right? But
right,
it's essentially like there's a limit to how many quality relationships we can have. So, find that interesting.
That is interesting.
It's funny you say that because a lot of mindfulness have been talking about the idea of scaling down your friendship if you want to be a happy person.
Yep. Especially ones that are not like quality friendships. Like if it's like effort to the point where it's not, it's a burden, then it's not true friendship, right?
Oh, that reminds me, guys. I need to scale down my social life. Being friends with you has become a burden, and I'm just scaling it down just to focus on myself.
Are you breaking up with us?
What?
It's for mental health purposes.
It's for my mental health, yeah. So
you're breaking up with us.
We can keep this purely professional. We're all adults here.
Oh man. Stay sane, folks.
That'd be such an interesting way to break up with somebody. Yeah, due to my mental health. It's not you, it's not me, it's just, I need to scale down my friendships, and, unfortunately you were the 151st of my, you were the top 150.
I could see future generations doing that if they become like the next level of sensitive.
Yeah.
Do you categorize your friendship with people based on numbers? Like, oh, this is my number one best FF.
Oh yeah, I sure do. Yeah,
BFF.
Like you guys are 57 and 65 respectively.
Yeah, we made the list.
Yeah,
we made the list.
We made a list at least.
Yeah,
we made the cut.
I mean,
made the cut.
There's like 20 dogs that are above you on that list. Like they,
Oh,
dogs are man's best friend, right?
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah.
Anyway,
but,
so what other superhuman powers exist out there? Not Michael Phelps. We went through him. Alex Honnold. You guys heard of him?
Oh,
so
yeah.
He climbs mountains, and he does it without any harness, which is crazy. There's a documentary called Free Solo. That's what it's called, to climb a mountain without any equipment, basically. But they did a study on his brain, and they found that the part of the brain that's responsible for fear is called the amygdala. His is underactive. So he doesn't sense fear like regular people do. And it's like it works with other things that he's afraid of. But when it comes to climbing mountains without a harness, he's trained his amygdala to just be okay with it. He's just so comfortable with that activity that there's nothing to fear. And he talks about it. He says how like he still feels fear, but he just kind of moves past it, which is an interesting way to describe it. And then so psychologists studied his brain, and they actually they've studied sensation seeking for decades, because it often leads to out of control behaviors such as like drug or alcohol addiction, also unsafe sex and problems with gambling. But with Honnold, they found a remarkable typology, as they say. They say the super sensation seeker who pursues experiences at the outer limits of danger, yet is able to tightly regulate his mind and body to respond to those sensations. So interesting.
That's interesting.
Wow, yeah.
Watch Free Solo. Recommend that one. Crazy documentary.
I didn't want to watch it. Because I thought it was similar to the guy whose hand got caught in a rock.
Yes. What's that? James Franco made a 27 hours, 28 hours, something with hours.
Yeah,
it's not like that. It's this is a real true story documentary, and your palms will sweat alive if you're afraid of it. Yeah, still alive. And he's an interesting cat because he's very I don't know if he's on the spectrum, but he's kind of like a geek. Like you can tell he's really smart. kind of a little bit unusual, but not to the point where you can't hang out with him. Like he seems still cool. And like he's been on podcasts too. Just cool kid. Right? He's an older guy now,
Right.
still alive. And
Yep.
his peers, they talk about this in the movie, like they don't make it past like their 40s at best, and he's still going.
Yeah.
He's got sponsorships, so superhuman right there.
Have you ever heard of what is it called? Synesthesia.
Oh
What's
yeah.
this? What is this?
It's a neurological condition. So when you eat something, so if you're eating like broccoli, you get like this color sensation in your eyes. And usually it's between like food and sight, so you kind of like see different things.
Right. This is the effect that psychedelic drugs give you. So like you see sounds or you hear colors.
Yeah, or like when someone says something to you, it's like it comes in like a color. So if someone like says the number 5, it would be like in red.
Whoa.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting, like neurological condition, I guess, because all your senses in your brain are all in the front, right? So I guess it's like the crossover in the different sections.
How common is this one?
Yeah.
It's not that common, but it's common enough. It doesn't harm the person. It's just like people who have it, they just kind of they develop like weird tastes in things. They don't like broccoli because it's like yellow and they don't like the color yellow. Or it makes like a gross color and they're like, I don't know, it's not baptized. But then they would eat disgusting. Like ice cream with tomatoes on top because like the colors are amazing. Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
these guys are just tripping out from their diets.
Yeah. I believe in the idea that we eat with our eyes.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but imagine like as you chew, like the taste sensation is like created visually for you, which could be for better or for worse. Yeah.
Yeah. I could see it disrupting your life if you're like uneasy about certain things.
Yeah. Yeah. Like it probably would play a factor, right? So, I mean, you can kind of simulate that yourself. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen things where it'd be like a hot dog or would look like a hot dog, but you bite into it and it tastes like a birthday cake. So your brain's thinking hot dog, but then it's like, and it looks like a hot dog, has the same texture of a hot dog, but it like tastes like a birthday cake.
I mean, this thing you're talking about, right? I made a note of this artist who paints common food, disguise them as other foods.
Okay.
So there's a picture of like I think it's like a zucchini or a cucumber, and it's actually banana.
Damn. So it's like
so she would paint her name. She's a Japanese artist. Hikaru Cho. Hikaru Cho. He's and basically he would paint foods and transform them. So it would be like a tomato. He would paint it as orange. So then when you slice it, it's a tomato.
I think I've seen this stuff. Yeah, I remember it being cool. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty much like what Alex you were talking about, where it's like
synesthesia.
You're yeah.
Just take a magic mushroom and
similar to it,
you get the same effect.
Yeah.
We don't promote drugs.
Yeah, if you really want superpowers, try this.
Oh man.
Say no to drugs, kids.
Yeah. By this we mean like eat salad and drink almond milk.
Greens.
Yes.
That's if you really want superpowers, like living long and being healthy.
Like Popeye.
Eat your veggies, kids.
Get that spinach. Get that spinach intake.
Yeah, eat that arugula. Oh, you know what we haven't talked about yet is like real life superheroes. Like the people who actually dress up as superheroes. And they patrol their city. Have you never seen this?
Oh, like yeah, I've seen this. Like vigilante types.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah, there's did you guys see the Brampton Batman?
Yeah, so we live in for the listeners, we live in the Greater Toronto area. And in one of the cities in the area, there's a guy who dresses up as Batman. And he goes around. Someone I know has seen him at the comic book store dressed as Batman a few times. So I don't know if it's just he just really likes the comic.
I've seen him.
You've seen him? Okay, yeah, because he does do stuff like kind of Law and Order.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have pictures of it somewhere on my laptop, but he was being arrested by the cops.
There goes citizen police work for you. No more citizen arrests.
Moral of the story:
I don't know
don't be a
why, but
superhero.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
I don't
guys.
know if-
It doesn't work, kids.
Yeah, he's got the Batmobile, like mobile. It's like it looked exactly like
What?
Batman. I'm not sure if maybe he did something and then they were arresting him for, I don't know, whatever. It just didn't make any sense.
Well, good effort, I guess. Good effort. There's that Spider-Man dude downtown Toronto, but he doesn't really do
Oh
much.
yeah, but
He
he's
just kinda
cool
waits
though. He's just like
Yeah, he just waits for
Oh
pictures.
yeah, I've seen that guy.
Can we get a
too.
selfie? Yeah, sure.
you just get pictures fake taken with
Yeah.
him. He doesn't actually stop
like an-
crime.
Yeah, he's an impersonator.
Yeah.
He just likes
Yeah.
Spider-Man.
Would you probably say cowboy, New York, naked cowboy is quote unquote like classified as,
Superhero?
yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, he's wearing pants, he's naked.
Like, I mean, sure, but I guess it's the
TBD.
same kind of dress code as Hulk does. Yeah.
True. It's his uniform.
Yeah. I mean, sure. Like, if there's ever, I don't know if he would be able to stop many criminals, but
You could try. You can try. Does it stop bullets?
how?
I mean, yeah. Maybe.
Maybe.
Anyway, so
Final thoughts.
I was like,
Oh no.
we're talking about like all these people with superpowers. What about people that, pretend they have superpowers? And I want to bring this up because I think it's very important because, like a lot of these guys are in a way manipulating people in a way that is a bit not.
It's not kosher.
It's not kosher at all. So anyway, there's this guy. He's a Ghanaian pastor based in South Africa, and apparently, what he does is he pretends he has powers that he can heal people,
Oh,
and he does that by kissing them and fondling their breasts.
Nice.
wow.
This guy knows what's going on. No, this is brutal.
And
Jeez.
and the weird part of it is he only does it to young girls, not to the older
Whoa.
folks.
It's humans, man.
Wow.
Wait, so people are just like, cool, how do I sign up for this church? Is there a waiting list?
This is a true false prophet right here.
But
it's
like
come
women
on.
let him just like, oh yeah, he has superpowers, so they just go along with it.
I mean, he claims he can heal people and
Is he
Right.
convincing at least?
I guess
Yeah, it
because
must
I
be,
mean,
yeah.
so there's this guy. His name is Darren. I didn't write his full name. Anyway, you can check him out on YouTube. Darren exposes the tricks of fate healers.
Okay.
Yeah. A lot of
And
those.
he uses certain techniques that I mean, I'm not saying that all pastors are don't have the superpowers that they claim. There's some people who are doing a good job,
Yep.
good work, and then there's some who are a bit like they're using certain tricks that Darren can expose some of these tricks, he would be having a conversation with you and then say, which part of your ear can you not hear? And then they're like, oh, the left side. And then he would cover the left side and scream certain things to you. And then you're like, oh, I can hear that. Well, yeah, the left side is the one that is I can't hear from, but the right side I can.
Right.
And then you're like, oh, did you hear what I said? It's like, yes, I heard what you said.
Mm.
Or deaf people can hear like sounds that are not, it's not a sound, but it's an inner sound. So like if I go like this, you could hear,
Yeah.
but if I say something, you might not be able to read my
Yeah.
lips.
It's like the story.
So he'd go behind and then he'd go like this. And you're like, oh, I did 2 of these.
Right.
You could, so
Interesting.
these are little tricks. But this guy claims he can, heal people by kissing them and fondling their breasts. I think it's
Scam artist over here. How big is this congregation? That's what I want to know.
Are you looking to start your own?
It's got some super healing powers too. Oh man. Don't cancel us.
Yeah, let's do final thoughts.
I would say you can really have some of these superpowers if you hone in your craft. You can do that by like maybe turning off things that distract you, especially like nowadays we have our phones, which is always buzzing every second, which does not allow us to really focus when we're doing stuff. You can really, do something by just focus, practice several times, and yeah.
It's my final thought. You don't need to have superpowers to be advanced who you are, because we always kind of look at these things in terms of metaphysical fantasy thing that's going to solve our problems or do anything. But if you look at a lot of people who are successful at what they do, be it in comic books in terms of Bruce Wayne, Tony Stark, or in real life, successful people who you follow, athletes, celebrities, whomever, us obviously, and they all they do is they just excluding us, all they do, the other people, is they just kind of hone their craft and kind of put their mind to it and get really good at what they do, and effectively that talent, that skill becomes their superpower, and that kind of just allows them to unlock and access the life that they want to have. It's kind of like that not carpe diem, but it's kind of like taking matters into your own hands.
Mm-hmm. For me, I would say I think it's crazy how humans can vary so dramatically. It's crazy that I am the same species as LeBron James or Yao Ming or Shaquille O'Neal. Like we're the same species. And I think it's important to study our world, especially when it comes to performance and art, and really admire talent. Like I have an appreciation for talent as I get older, rather than like tribalism. It's more like admire different tasks that are being accomplished by other human beings. I think it's part of what makes life so ethereal and beautiful to observe. Nurturing talent for young children that's where it's at right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because a lot of these people, like, they started from as they were kids.
Yeah. I think, not to drift off from final thoughts, but I think humans see talent in children and they try to nurture it, but oftentimes it falls off the rails.
Yeah, they suck it out.
Yeah, and for whatever reason, the child becomes a statistic. But the ones that make it to the top, obviously we find out about them, or at least we should. But nurture the talent, observe the talent, part of the beauty of life, right? Observe it, appreciate it. And that's it. Follow us on all the social medias. We're on there. Raised Eyebrow Podcast.
Yep.
Something like that.
Hopefully still on Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're sorry, Mark. We love you, Mark.
Yeah.
You're very handsome. All the girls love you. For sure they love you.
He can have superpower in the metaverse.
Yeah.
So,
exactly. We'll pay for it.
Yeah. It'd be an NFT,
I don't have a Remember Kids for this week. I'll say, remember kids, sarcasm is also a superpower. Use it wisely.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that one?
Yeah, it works.
Okay. Sarcasm for the win. That's my superpower.